Hi, welcome, lovelies. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you are brand new, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. I like to go over a little thing called true crime and some mystery, maybe a lot of mystery, just depends on the day. Today, I want to get into the I40 highway mystery, true crime. There's some killings that have gone on this highway, a lot of killings. So if you are interested, come on by, sit down, relax, maybe have some tea, maybe have some coffee. I'm having coffee today.
After noticing a pattern of murdered women being dumped along interstates, the FBI launched its Highway Serial Killings Initiative. The map you see behind me shows where bodies and remains have been found along highways in 500 cases over the course of 30 years. 20 years later, the FBI's work has led to several arrests and to hundreds of suspects. And today, investigators do believe most of those suspects are long-haul truckers. But they want to make it clear they're focusing in on a very small portion of them, as most
Interstate 40 runs 2,500 miles across the United States. And along this road, there are real people that have vanished to never be seen again. Not theories, not rumors, names, faces, cases. Some have been found, some are still missing. And some killers may have used this highway as their hunting ground. Today, we're going to deep dive into the terrifying patterns of the I40 highway. Come with me. I-40 connects states from California to North Carolina, cutting through cities, but also long isolated stretches of land, places where there are no cameras, no witnesses, and sometimes no second chances. Law enforcement has repeatedly warned that highways like I-40 are ideal for offenders, people who move constantly, cross jurisdictions, and leave little behind. And that's exactly what makes these cases so hard to solve. While not every victim is widely known, many cases share similar traits. Young women traveling alone, last seen near highways or transit routes. In several I-40 corridor investigations, victims were discovered miles from where they disappeared, suggesting they were transported. Some were found near truck stops or rest areas. Others in remote wooded areas just off the interstate. Their cases remain unsolved. With some things, I've heard of a woman that used to clean trucks. She cleaned tires for a truck driver. And this woman actually wanted to get her payment from this truck driver, and he told her to get into the truck. Well, when this happened, he attacked her and he knocked her out. He thought he killed her. He actually dropped her off in the middle of I-40. Investigators found her. She talked to police. She identified this guy. And I'll try to put that guy up here so you guys can see, and I'll put a name for him. And in many instances, their names are never made national headlines. Many unidentified as Jane Does never reported missing. This is why you don't see many real victim photos. They were often never documented publicly. To understand what may be happening along I-40, we need to look at confirmed killers who used highways in similar ways. Take Robert Van Rhodes, known as the truck stop killer. Rhodes was a long-haul truck driver who traveled across multiple states, including routes overlapping major interstates like I-40. He abducted victims from truck stops and highways, holding them captive in his truck before murdering them. His mobility allowed him to be undetected for many years. Then there's Samuel Little, considered one of the most prolific serial killers in U.S. history. Little confessed to dozens of murders across multiple states. He targeted vulnerable women, often near highways, and moved constantly, making it incredibly difficult for law enforcement to connect his crimes. And Keith Hunter, a truck driver who murdered women across several states while traveling interstate routes. He would dump bodies along highways, sometimes leaving them in remote areas just off major roads. There are not theories. These are proven cases of killers using highways as tools. In the early 2000s, the Federal Bureau of Investigation launched a major initiative to track what they called highway serial killings. They identified hundreds of victims whose deaths were linked to highways. Many were found near interstates like I40. Patterns emerged. Victims often lived high-risk lifestyles or were traveling alone. Bodies were left in clusters near major trucking routes, and suspects frequently had jobs that kept them moving, especially trucking. This wasn't one killer. It was a system being exploited. One of the most disturbing clusters near the I-40 corridor is the West Mesa murders in New Mexico. In 2009, the remains of 11 women were discovered buried in the desert. Many of the victims had disappeared years earlier. This area sits directly along I-40. And while no killer has been officially identified, investigators believe the murderer or murderers used the areas to the highway to transport and dispose the victims. It remains one of the largest unsolved serial murder cases in U.S. history. These cases share a terrifying advantage: movement. A killer using I-40 can commit a crime in one state and be hundreds of miles away within hours. Different police departments, different databases, different timelines before modern DNA systems and data sharing. These cases often stayed disconnected. And even today, not every case gets solved. So is there a single I-40 serial killer? No confirmed evidence proves that. But the reality may be worse, because along this highway, in different times, there have been multiple killers. Some caught, some identified years later, and some who were never found. Every mile of I-40 has a history. Most of it ordinary, but some of it isn't. Somewhere along that road, families lost daughters, sisters, friends. And in some cases, they never got answers. So the next time you're driving late at night and the road stretches out into darkness, remember this: you are not the first person to pass through, and not everyone who did made it to the other side. This story showing the tragic things that could have happened to women, it just goes to show you that you need to be careful. Don't walk by yourself on a highway. Tell everybody where you're at. Tell somebody where you're at all times. You don't want to get kidnapped. You don't want to get taken. Watch your back. Be safe. And don't talk to strangers. If you're still here, thank you for watching. Subscribe, maybe like, and come back for more.